Good morning. We're glad you're watching Morning Express on this Wednesday. It's the 29th day of July. It is time for the newsroom. We're looking at how the media covered the big stories you've been watching, reading, or listening to on radio. Joining us in studio this morning, on my immediate left is Clay Muganda, who's a features editor with The Standard on Sunday. Also with us is Dr. Nancy Booker, who is chair of the multimedia department, journalism department at the Multimedia University, and also Simon Goge, who is a political analyst. Thank you all for joining us this morning. So we'll start with you, Ngoge. Yeah. Obama's visit, your thoughts on how those 3 days panned out and how the media covered?
Yeah, I like the way the media covered the whole thing, although the concentration went too much on the visitor instead of what the visitor brought. I expected the media to actually bring out the benefits and actually try to involve the public on the benefits that Obama was bringing. The media covered heavily on the person himself instead of what he brought.
So you think there was nothing,
no,
all the media
coverage
watched,
was
you
positive.
didn't see anything about...
The coverage was positive.
About what else other than him being present in the country?
Yeah.
You're saying you didn't see anything else covered other than the fact that he was in the country?
No. The whole thing, the way probably with the way we are used to covering things, I think it was positive, but I expected probably the media to cover heavily on what he brought other than the visit itself. Although visit was an icon of what he brought. Okay,
Clay? What did he bring that he didn't cover?
I think that has been it's been on the lips of many, because one thing I remember is, and I expected probably some of the guys who've been very hard on the media with the hashtag Kenya media failure, and to come actually and probably explain how the media failed in all this. For me, for the first time, I mean, I'm a journalist, and I've been very critical actually of some of my colleagues, especially the ones on TV. But I think this time I'm standing with everybody. I'm standing with the guys on TV, and I'm standing with the guys in print, and whoever is out there and feels that Kenya media failed, I mean, whatever it is that they're going to say, I don't know whatever they're going to say, but I think I've dismissed 90% of it, because Kenyans keep on saying that, oh, we were never told about the media concentrated so much on the cars, the media concentrated so much on the plane, the media concentrated so much on the person. But if you ask these guys, one thing they don't understand is that the kind of limitations that the media had, the kind of limitations that actually it was not something so easy that you'll just walk into a place and thrust a microphone at any of these so-called big billionaires that they wanted us to cover. Having said that, I think the problem that Kenya media has is we have a problem. We are victims of poverty. Not that the media is poor, but most of our readers and most of our viewers are actually, in as much as most of them were people who are reading these stories on social media, and they only have enough airtime or enough bundle to see the headline. Then after that, they start thinking with their fingers.
But are you saying the only way the media then can cover a full story is only if they conduct interviews with these people? Because I disagree. There was coverage that was going on. Hold up, before GES, that was talking about what this global entrepreneurship summit is about. Those that were there before, what these conversations are on. So you don't need to interview Obama then to cover what Obama has brought or talked about.
I agree with you, and that's exactly what these people, all the noises you're reading about on social media were all about that. Oh, Bloomberg was here, why didn't you interview Bloomberg? One thing people do not understand is that sometimes you log onto social media and you see like somebody is complaining like, oh, K24 is at State House, why is KTN not there? One thing they do not understand is that the way the media, the TV stations are divided themselves, that you will cover here, you'll cover here, you'll cover, and then they would share the footage. That's one thing people do not understand. And when people keep on saying like, oh, the media failed, I keep on asking, what is it that they failed in doing? Okay. Like, because even the pre-GES, I mean, there was a lot of coverage before that, people breaking down. I remember Akina Yvonne were actually going to universities and all that and sitting down with people. As you told me before we went on air, all those industrialists that you were interviewing before, all that were pre-GS. So for me, I don't think that there was Kenya media failed as the way people are claiming on social media. I think it is faulty, and the people who actually did not understand what they wanted to watch are actually our viewers and readers.
Okay, your thoughts?
I think it's been an interesting conversation, and I think listening to you know, Kenyans talking about Kenyan media failure, we could look at it in two aspects. But one, it shows that yes, people are following media and they have certain expectations about what they expect media to do, which is good because it shows that we are, you know, very media savvy. We are following, and we are, you know, we have certain agenda that we'd like to see in media. My concern is, you know, the term media failure, you know, because when we say failure, then it means that there's nothing that, you know, they did. And for me, I would look at it in terms of, was there balance in the stories that we had? And you know, when we look at it that way, then there was essentially no balance. And you cannot blame the media for lack of that balance, because I mean, when you look at President Obama and GES, and what President Obama means to this country, and the connection that he has to this country, and the prominent personality that he is, that was likely to steal the show. And that is what everybody else was interested in.
So when you say balance, you mean what?
Balance in the sense that were the two stories treated with the same weight? Maybe not at the time that he was here. You know, within the 3 days that he was here, maybe what we expected, or what Kenyans expected, was, you know, a kind of balance, that with the same kind of weight that we are covering, you know, that President Obama's you know, activities within the country is the same breadth with which we are carrying out, you know, whatever was happening at the summit. And the truth is that we were not able to do that, and we couldn't have, the media couldn't have done that. You know, that in those 3 days, unfortunately, attention had to be shifted to what, you know, President Obama was doing.
Yeah.
And that's because of the prominence of the personality that was involved. So much so that I think in one of the papers they had a story about Air Force One spends the night at JKIA. And people have bashed that story. And I'm asking why? You know, because having Air Force One in Kenya in itself makes news. You know, and when you're a prominent personality, sometimes even where your car spends the night or your plane spends the night is news.
Yeah.
And
but that was not the headline.
That was not the headline. And the page where that story was put, it was on page 3 of the Nation. And you know, we know that that is where they would actually put, you know, some of those
the lighter stories,
which was fine, you know, from where I sit. I think for me, you know, the question then is, post Obama, what has been the kind of coverage that we have seen? And I know that people have said it's like media took a backseat, you know, where are they after this? And that then presents a good opportunity for us to interrogate what were the issues that were highlighted at the GES that we need to be able to bring to bear. Okay. We cannot blame the media for not, you know, sustaining the coverage on GES during the time that Obama was here, because it's unfortunate that the personality involved in this particular case, and this was the first time he was coming, you know, to Kenya, where very many people had expectations of him coming home, so much so that they were carried away as a result of that, that you couldn't have ignored that at the expense of the other. Okay. But having said that, I think that after he has left, this now presents a good opportunity for us to go back and ask ourselves what was happening. Because the truth is that in as much as we are saying that, you know, the GES summit was not covered extensively, what would people have remembered after that? You know, I think there was a lot more attention on what, you know, President Obama was doing, where he was at, what he was saying. And now the opportunity has been presented, you know, for us to be able to interrogate whatever it is that was, you know, that was discussed at the summit.
All right.
So, you know, just as I conclude, what I expect to see, you know, in the coming days is what are the takeouts, you know, from GES. And media has a good platform right now to be able to follow up. To us,
So did you get a sense, Goget, that there was an overwhelmed media? Because you look at it, other than the main events where you had the presidents in attendance and speaking, there were numerous others that were happening in the sidelines, critical conversations around entrepreneurship. And then there's the, you know, person of Obama in the country as well, with his links to the country. and the emotional attachment that very many people are excited to. So was the media responding in your, the sense you get, to what people wanted also to know about, or was the media overcome and overtaken by the color parts of the story instead of the substance?
Like I said, you cannot blame the media because media covered what was available. Probably you can slightly blame the organizers of the whole thing, because Obama coming in with entrepreneurship agenda. This is a time we wanted to reflect seriously on what we are doing as Kenyans. We want to see how the factories can be started from the actually when you start off.
But hold on, you say blame the organizers. Why are you blaming organizers again?
Because probably they did not set the platform where, or they did not give you proper access because of the too much security that was put in place. And now the media was left to probably cover a certain area, because I expected to see things to do with the Juakali people being aired in the
But what does that have to do with the security situation? I mean, this is the president of the most powerful country in the world. You must secure him, and all of that has to be put in place. What does that have to do with telling the Juakali stories, and which I have seen a number of? Maybe you did not manage to catch those, but this had been told even before the summit began. So I'm sorry, I don't understand your point.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that the innovators of this country were not highly highlighted in the whole arrangement of the summit, or the whole arrangement of Obama, which now left the whole organizers actually following Obama like there's a political agenda that he has come up with, trying to catch up what he's going to say about the opposition and that kind of stuff. Now we focused much to see whether he's going to greet the deputy president, he's going to speak to Raila Odinga. Those were the things that were captured by the local Mwananchi, other than catching the business agenda that was there. And when you look at the papers, even the news, most of the things that were covered, if you were to rate the coverage stories, you'll see that the political stories actually took 70% of the coverage, other than now hitting at the entrepreneurship, the innovation of business entrepreneurs. For the Mwananchi, the simple Mwananchi to feel that the Obama has come here, he has come with the youth fund, he has come with women fund for me to start my business, for me to run my business. You know, the one
I get what the gentleman is saying is probably the things like, all those things like what he has mentioned about the youth fund and the women fund. This is actually what he got from the media when Obama talked about banking on the youth and giving women prominence and stuff like that. You see, so I don't understand where people keep on complaining, because the way all these things were covered, it was quite difficult to separate, because when Obama was at Gigiri, at the same, that time all the focus was on, the president, the two presidents. Then after that, between that time to his next place, I think there were other discussions that actually were going on. You see, this is why I keep on saying that it's a problem of, we have a problem of poverty, is that I personally could actually surf through the channels. Some of us, or most of the people actually who are thinking with their fingers, are people who are probably stuck on only one channel, you see. So they were watching one channel, and then they don't have the liberty or the luxury of moving to maybe that channel 199 or moving to another channel to see actually what the other discussions on the sidelines. So, and even if you gave them these discussions as they're saying that they wanted them, what are they going to do with them at that time? Because it's better now break it down, because like even when I was coming here, I've just spoken to I think three of the young women actually who were featured. Who were featured that time, who spoke to Obama and whose entrepreneurship, whatever, were featured. I've just spoken to them. And now is when actually we're going back and breaking down the stories, because within those 3 days, you could not have actually broken down everything and actually made Kenyans understand. The thing is, Kenyans or our viewers need to actually know how to manage their expectations. you have to forget about this euphoria, and actually we're just victims of that because people set their expectations so high, and then, or sometimes so low, and then they start blaming you. I mean, I remember the first time immediately Obama arrived, there's a gentleman who tweeted like, oh, what is the name of the girl who gave Obama flowers? And actually I tweeted back and I gave him the name and the age and the school. The following day, this guy starts complaining, oh, what did Obama and the family talk about at the private family dinner? And I said, come on, that was a private family dinner, just as you call it. But then 2 days later, the guy starts complaining that you guys are just covering sideshows. So the thing is, I mean, they're our clients, yes, they're our customers, but I think that what we have here, you have very, very confused customers, belligerent, confused. They don't know what they want, and actually they need direction.
But remember what Obama said about you'll constantly have people complaining no matter what
that
you
is
do.
The
so
democracy.
are you then starting to get upset by all of this expectation?
No,
democracy?
That's democracy. I agree.
Not media expectation.
I agree with them, but the only problem is that actually they're not being democratic, they're being dictatorial. just like that story, the story that people keep on mentioning about Air Force One being at the airport. And this one, it goes out to those people who always complain that the media does not portray Kenya positively. If at all, the people who are thinking with their fingers had enough airtime to actually open that link and read the story, it was all about how Kenya Airports Authority is doing so well that actually the Americans decided to let the Air Force One be at the airport because most probably it would go to the nearest US base. I mean, that's one thing people never read.
I think why I wouldn't be too harsh on members of the public on bashing the media or having high expectations of media. I think for me that's good, and it shows that there's a vibrant media environment where people have a certain expectation of media. I think what that means for those of us who are playing in this game is how then do we meet those expectations? And it's also a good opportunity for us to go back and ask ourselves, what is it that we did not do? And so I wouldn't be too hard on members of the public on doing that. But I think it also provides an opportunity for us then to tell them this is what we needed to focus on, and convince them that this is what was important, because the truth is that is what everybody was interested in. It is only after the fact that we now come out and say, you guys were, the media failed, and as I said, it's not about failure. I think media gave us what we wanted to know, what we wanted to hear. Media was getting feedback, from members of the public, and as they asked these questions, then they were leads to some of the stories that people, wanted to hear. Because when people ask, who is this girl, and people are tweeting about it, and then the next day, the papers have a story of who she is and what school she goes to and how old she is and all that, and the fact that she's an orphan. That answers the question.
Getting that girl was not even because of the reaction of the public, because immediately you see that girl. I mean, we're professionals.
Everybody
immediately you see that. Yeah, immediately you see that girl. Yeah, everybody, including us. In as much as immediately you see that girl, even before anybody asks, you actually know, like, that is a story. I need to follow that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, sorry, I hadn't finished. But I guess the reason why then it makes a story is because people started tweeting, almost immediately. Who is this? And like every good journalist needs to be able to preempt the kind of questions in the minds of their media consumers. And so when you answer those questions, you're basically meeting the information needs or the entertainment needs or whatever needs that your audience have with regards to the information that that you are providing.
As you make your comment, I just want to invite everyone watching this morning, as you listen to what our panelists have to say, weigh in on the discussion. Let's hear what you thought about the media's coverage of Obama's visit in Kenya, but also the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. Did you think the questions that you had were answered, or that all aspects of the story were told? Goge.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a small point and say that you know, someone getting a distinction or probably he has having 70% mark. That means that he has 30% failure in some point. So we cannot say that we cannot blame the media, because while we cannot give them 100% mark, if you have asked me what was the good thing that media did, I'll tell you probably many things, more things than the criticism. What I'm saying, if I was to decide which programs to be aired, I would want to see probably that time someone like Mwangi of Equity probably being interviewed and actually carrying the day. If I was the organizer of the event, I'll actually not bring the ministers and the political class to invite Obama, because he's coming for business issues, although the politics have his own arrangement. I will probably bring Kinamanu Chandaria to welcome Obama at the airport and actually accompany him in the whole journey, because what he has come to do is actually business related. He has not come here for politics. If I was the organizer, probably those are the areas that I would have.
But this was a two-pronged visit. There was the GES, but there was also a state visit. So it would be simplistic then to imagine you'll just have the business community at the airport. This is a head of state. You must surely.
I was just saying that. I'm saying that I know it's difficult to have a business manager to welcome a president. That I know, because a politician, a president must actually be welcomed at the airport by the president, and actually the president must work with his political class. But what I'm trying to say is that his journey, the much emphasis was put into political line. Actually, the public was meant to wait for political agendas, for political talks.
But
from,
this is what I mean
other
by...
than the president, there's no other politician.
This is what I mean by Kenyans should know how to manage their expectations. You see, that is what they expect. Then, if you don't cover it, then they start complaining. Then they say that is what, because them, they're only seeing the political angle. Then they keep on blaming you, but that is what they themselves wanted to see. I mean, 90% of President Obama's speech was actually things like, let me just call them social issues. You see, it was not about, but these people, what they wanted, like, oh, let me see what he'll do to Mr. Ruto. Let me see what he'll tell Mr. Raila. You see, so that one, right now, 90% of all these people who are complaining about our coverage, all of them are not even asking, like, what are these goodies that President Obama brought? What are the benefits of this GES? Right now, all of them are concentrating like, oh, this is what he told the opposition. This is what he told so-and-so. That is what they're actually doing. Our problem is that we have too many politicians in this country and too many political analysts. There are too many who actually... Nowadays, you know, it used to be like when you thrust a microphone in front of a Kenyan politician, you always have something to say. Nowadays, it comes like immediately they log onto social media, that's it. They close their minds, they start thinking with their fingers, and that's it. And that's our biggest problem.
Yeah. Nancy, you have something to say?
Yeah. I think let's... you know, as I'm listening to this discussion, I'm, you know,
Nancy is being very academic, by the way, which is very nice, you know.
And you are being very well.
Very well. Not just academic, but also being, you know, very practical. You know, having practiced journalism and knowing what, and also looking at it from a media consumer's point of view. You know. So, I tend to disagree with, you know, with the politicization of the whole visit. I mean, there was very little politics around it. And let us not, I mean, I think when we see, you know, President Uhuru, we need to look at him larger than just the politician that he is. And he represents a lot more than just the politics, you know. So much so that we have entrusted him as the president. We, you know, we voted. You know,
which is a political process.
Which is a political process. But after that voting, then there are certain expectations beyond, you know, the political sphere of operations.
Right.
And you know, even listening to his you know, to his speech as well, there was not too much of the political rhetoric. It was more of how can we pull together. And so having him there, you know, I think it was good enough. He came in all, you know, all capacities to be able to represent the nation, representing the business community, representing everybody else. I think that is when we see President Kenyatta, he's representing much more than just, you know, the political interest, because of the office, you know, that he holds. And so we couldn't have, you know, expected that, yeah, because, you know, there is a discussion around women, that women should be at the airport to receive him, you know, that the business community should be there, that the young people should be there. We need to be able to entrust those that are in these offices to be able to represent us accordingly. I think what we need to be doing right now is looking at the presentations that were made, you know, by both heads of state, and asking ourselves, you know, for some of the things that President Uhuru outlined in his you know, in his speech, can we confirm or disconfirm them? You know, some of the things that President Obama talked about, can we validate them or invalidate them? You know, when he talks about you know, democracy and governance, it's an opportunity for us to ask ourselves as a country, you know, are we living by the, you know, those expectations? You know, when we say we are providing opportunity for everybody, is the country doing that? Do we have facts and figures that we can actually be able to point, you know, towards that? And this now presents after Obama, you know, it presents an opportunity for us to be able to interrogate everything else that came out of that. I think for me, my disappointment has been that you know, post-Obama, media coverage in terms of the takeouts, you know, from GES, from the speeches that were given, you know, during that time, has not been sustained and has not been in depth. You know, what I was expecting to see, one of the things that I think President Obama said is, you know, child mortality rates in certain parts of this country being higher than others. Can we actually be able to investigate that?
I think there was a story to that effect yesterday. There was a story to that effect yesterday.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Okay. But you know, that is what then now we need. You know, we need to be talking about when he talks about empowering women. What has been done so far, so that we are saying, we are validating some of the things that he's saying and saying, yes, these are areas that we need to look at, but also invalidating some of those by saying we have made progress in these areas, and this is where we stand. I think the challenge has been that after he left, you know, the story took a political tide, and I was disappointed by one of the stations that had their lead story, you know, trying to find out, so who was this politician who he made reference to. I think we were now trying to lose a sense of direction, you know,
because these guys had made so much noise to give them something, something they're familiar with.
I'll ask you this, because after the bilateral talks between the two presidents, then they came out for a press conference, and they generally spoke about some of the deals they'd cut and areas of engagement we would see from security. So do you get the sense that the media has since then broken it down for you? Because of course they did not outline everything, and what if it's security or border security, this is what we're going to do. If it's the economy and trade, these are the specifics. Has the media sought out those answers and answered?
Yeah, I was about to request you that I talk about the positive side of the reporting instead of the negative side, because as a business person, I was very busy. I did not listen to his speech. What I relied on heavily was from the print media. So that's why I'm saying, while there are things, if